My mom and dad were never married. And then at 3, my dad came and took me, told Dolores, my mom, that if she tried to see me, he'd kill her.
Danny Trejo, una niñez sin inocencia.
My Uncle Gilbert was probably the biggest influence in my life. When I was 8 years old, he gave me weed.
Rodeada de armas, drogas y un destino incierto.
Growing up, it was an adventure. But it was an adventure in negativity. It's like robberies, burglaries.
Una adolescencia a los golpes y tras las rejas.
I went to prison in 1965 for selling pure sugar to a federal agent.
Una promesa justo a tiempo le salvó la vida.
Diosito, let me die with dignity. I will say your name every day, and I will do whatever I can for my fellow inmate.
Ha sido apuñalado y torturado muchas veces.
Life in prison is the only place on earth that you have predator or prey.
Pero ahora solo en la pantalla.
For $320, give him a stick.
Danny Trejo, un hombre generoso que logró reconstruir su vida, dejando sus errores atrás y entregándolo todo para ayudar a quien más lo necesita.
I like to think of Danny Trejo as being a giver. I used to be a taker, and through my life's journey, it's like I realized that takers have big problems, ulcers, and have things like migraines, and givers just don't seem to have that. Givers seem to beat cancer, seem to beat brain surgery. I think Danny Trejo is a giver. I was born in Maywood, California. My mom and dad were never married, but I lived with my mom for a while, my real mom, Dolores. And then at 3, my dad came and took me, told Dolores that if she tried to see me, he'd kill her, and just scared that whole side of the family. Took me. My dad married Alice, who was a good lady, but she didn't really like kids. And my mom was really, Alicia was like an indentured servant. She was there to cook, clean, watch at the house, make sure that I had clean clothes. Everybody, all the men, worked hard. They all construction and, they were all drinkers and they were always like sweat. They were all construction workers. My dad's life purpose was to own a house and a Cadillac and a pickup truck. And that was the purpose. It was hard work. And he didn't really have time for like, hey, let's go play ball or whatever. I didn't play ball anyway. My dad's tenía una cara de hacha. They were just like, whoa, wait. It's really hard to say violent because he could turn you to stone with a look. He walked in church como se iba a pelear a alguien, and people got out of his way. I used to love it. I'd walk behind him anyway. People just get out of his way because he looked like he was angry all the time. He was most of the time. His name should have been Donicio Machismo Trejo, because it was all about. I already lived with my grandma, and I lived with 5 primas, so in Echo Park, East LA, I used to go with my Uncle Gilbert. My Uncle Gilbert was probably the biggest influence in my life. He was only like 5 years older than me. And so me and him got real close, and he was the only one that was always lineal with pleats and nice tennis shoes and a nice shirt. And he dealt marijuana, he dealt weed, so he stayed pretty clean, and we laughed a lot. And when I was 8 years old, he gave me weed. My uncle was a heroin addict and an armed robber. when he would rob and well-dressed bandit, because he was like always, you know, and everybody else worked. I didn't want to be like that, so that's who I hung out with, Gilbert. I can remember Gilbert and a guy named Charlie Diaz. He already passed away. In fact, me and Charlie's son are real good friends. And him and Charlie Diaz did a robbery when I was about 8. They were about 14, I think. And they came with a whole bunch of cash. You know, a bunch of cash, and bam! And they peeled out about 21s. Here, take those, you know, just showing off. I was trying to get our next door neighbor to lift up her blouse, and she wouldn't do it. So I gave her money. Money is everything. That's the way I thought. That's the way it was. Gilbert always had a roll of money like that. I think that was my role model. And I think there's no blame. There's no blame. But I don't care what you do, it's like you gotta have time for your kids. I don't care if you just sit and play a stupid video game with them. You just gotta have that time. You just gotta let them know, no matter what, I'm your guardaespaldas. I got your back all the time. Growing up, it was an adventure. I mean, but it was an adventure in negativity. You know, it's like robberies, burglaries, but when you're young, you're immortal. You know, it's like you can drive 90 miles an hour, get your ass here, you know.
Con solo 14 años, Danny inició su vida criminal al cometer su primer robo en una tienda de comida oriental.
Me and Mike Cerna, we had a gun that didn't work. It worked, but it was a revolver, but it wouldn't stay up, so you had to hold it like this. And we're like saying, give me the money, give me the money. And the lady, she brought out with the cash register, gave about $8 that was in the cash register. Because they always kept money in the little cigar box underneath. The cigar box! The gun fell. Somebody comes screaming out of the back, you know. So we took off with $8, and we had stolen my Uncle Rudy's 1955 Ford Fairlane 500, convertible, pink and white. That's the color. And that was the color it came out that year. And it was funny looking back on it, talking about, that wasn't a very good getaway car. You know, because my Uncle Rudy worked nights. We'd steal his car during the day. When I graduated from junior high school, we graduated on a Friday. I got home from that graduation. Well, I never got home. My dad found me passed out in front of Gilbert's house on Wednesday. So when it happened, it devastated him. Just blew up the family. Everybody chose sides and stuff, you know. And, I wanted to kill him, and I can't, you know. After that, my dad was killed in a crash. You know, and me and my mom, my stepmom, kind of just like separated completely. I went to prison in 1965 for selling pure sugar to a federal agent. Not drugs, yeah, pure sugar. They tested it and it came out pure, so they thought, oh my God, you know, this is like a real big drug. They sent me to prison for sale and loot of narcotics. So it wasn't really any narcotics, you know, so I had to plead guilty or they'd say I sold them heroin, so. The first time I went to juvenile hall, I thought Chicanos were supposed to go because it was all full of Chicanos and African Americans, you know what I mean, and poor white kids. It wasn't like, jail has never been for the wealthy. Jail is for the minorities. Just look, you know, I mean, very few rich people go to jail. Again, feria, you know. Our system is built on money. So if you got enough money, you don't got to go to jail. That little kid, if I see him, I'll beat his ass. Life in prison is going to be what you make it. Life in prison is the only place on earth that you have predator or prey, period. Every morning, you have to decide what you're going to be. Am I going to be a predator or am I going to be prey? I know people that decided, I'm going to be prey. Call me Alicia from now on. It's that simple. And then I know guys like what me, Tyrone Rye, and Cookie, and Frog used to do. We had a protection agency. And what we did, when young chavalos would come in, we'd say, look, here we go, just let me show you here. Now you can either come with us and we'll protect you, or go out on your own and get raped. Okay, what's it gonna cost me? Well, you got a mom? Yeah, you got a dad? Yeah, well, they send you money, cool. We won't take all of it, but we get a piece, so cool. Out here, it's called extortion. In there, it's called survival.
Tras varios años en prisión, el 5 de mayo de 1968, luego de un motín carcelario, Danny prometió ante Dios cambiar su vida.
5 de mayo means, vamos a ir a la cárcel. Everybody thinks 5 de mayo means like Chicano, real del corazón. I don't know why, but for some reason, the Latino population goes up in jail on 5 de mayo. Because we'll drink to excess, we'll fight with our neighbor, our wives will stab us, something is gonna go wrong. 5 de mayo, 1968, I was involved in a prison riot. So when we were in the hole, I remember Henry saying, "Nos van a tapiar, they're gonna kill us," you know. And I thought, yeah. And then, wait a minute, how'd this happen? You know, I'm 24 years old, I might go to the gas station. And everybody all my life said I had potential. It's got a lot of potential, un chingo de potential. And they're gonna kill us, what am I on my potential? And I remember asking Diosito, let me die with dignity. I will say your name every day, and I will do whatever I can for my fellow inmate.
Danny cumplió su promesa, dejó las drogas y comenzó a ayudar a otros reclusos a mantenerse sobrios.
The first thing I did was I went to a meeting. I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting with a guy named Frank Russo, who was like my first sponsor, who actually just passed away, who I'd been in prison with. He got out first. And realizing that this was what I was gonna do, you know, I'd just go to meetings and just help people. I just knew in my heart that that was the only way I was gonna stay out of prison. And the rewards have been unbelievable. One of my sponsors, a guy named Johnny Harris, said, Sam Harding said, you have to do things for other people and not expect any kind of reward. And they will come. And we seem to be, Diosito seems to be rewarding us quite a bit. Everything good that's happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else. And I got out of prison, and I remember, what I said, what am I do? How do you be a nice guy? In my mom's neighborhood, I robbed everybody. I broke into everybody's house or garage, and nobody liked me. And I remember the first Sunday I was out, I was standing in front of my mom's, and the elder ladies were like pulling the trash can. And I seen her dragging her, and I remember I went up to her. I was trying to be nice. And I remember her words. She says, Danny, no me robas. Cállate, vieja. I got mad, and I drug her trash can out. I went and I got the other one. She never took her eyes off me because she knew I was going to go steal her lawnmower or something. I pulled her trash can out. I started taking the neighbors' trash out, the older people, on Sundays. At first, me and Danny Levitov started a gardening business that worked out really well because we were helping this one lady. When I left to go to prison, she had a beautiful yard. She had a front yard that looked like this, but it was dichondra. Stupid to raise dichondra, because if a bird walks on it, you kill it. And she had this beautiful yard, and her husband always worked out on it, and she had 2 boys that worked. And then when I came back from prison, it looked like a jungle. I asked my mom what happened, and my mom says, "Oh, Mio, one of her sons was killed in Vietnam. Another one was killed in gang chingazos that they had. And then her husband committed suicide in the house. And she turned into the bruja, the witch lady that turns the kids into cats if they're bad." So I just remember going by, me and Danny would do a little something on our yard, do a little something on our yard. And in about 2 months, we got it looking pretty good. Guy came over and said, a big old hillbilly, "Hey, what are you charging the lady?" He called me Pancho. "Hey, Pancho, that's $5. Come on over, I want you to do my yard." And he said, "Bring Pablo, Danny Levitov." I said, "Otro cinco, cabrón." And we went over to his house. He told us what he wanted. I said, okay, so we had him up to about $50, and that was a lot of money a month for gardening in 1969, the end of 69. We didn't have nothing. We would go to people's houses, knock on the door, and Danny, the good little white kid, just a little, "Hi, we'll mow your lawn." And okay, and then then we'd take over. "Do you have a lawnmower?" "Yeah." "Do you have an edger?" "Yeah." "Do you have trash bag?" We'd borrow everything then go mow somebody else's lawn, come back and do theirs. And then he would go to his garage. He opens his garage, he had every tool known to mankind. He had one of them garages that if the hammer was gone, you knew it because it had a picture of a hammer, you know what I mean? I thought, damn, you know, and he says, "Look, I'll give you this equipment if you do my yard for free." And this guy, the first time we had equipment, and we had enough equipment, we bought a truck. And then all of a sudden, our business took off, and we were doing really well. When we sold it, we had like 3 trucks, 6 guys working for us. And I went into working with the Narcotics Prevention Project because that's what I wanted to do. Jimmy Pena gave me that job, and I thought he gave it to me because I was like gonna be a good counselor. And he said, "No, Danny, you know what? We had all them drug addicts out front, you know, shooting dope and dealing, and we needed them cleared out." So I was like "Vámonos, let's go." And they all knew me from boxing in the joint, so they all left and went down the chute. But I stayed working for the Narcotics Prevention Project. Then I worked for Dr. Dora and Mark Hickman, who started Detox Center. I still work there. Western Pacific MedCorp. We still detox heroin addicts. That's what I do. You know, I act to support myself, but my love is helping drug addicts get off of drugs.
La nueva vida de Danny Trejo como consejero y su vieja afición de niño por el boxeo lo convirtió en actor.
I started boxing with like 8 years old with my Uncle Gilbert. You know, my Uncle Gilbert was Golden Glove. He was an unbelievable fighter. He was champion in the Air Force, in the paratroopers. I was his sparring bag, I was his punching bag, but I had to learn how to fight or get my head beat in, and I got pretty good, a lightweight, welterweight champion of every institution I was in. When I came out, I started boxing. I couldn't get a license because of the violence. The boxing commission put me on a 2-year probation. I started club fighting, and that was just Howie Steinler used to send me to clubs, and we just fight. And make $400 or $500. You can do that every week. You do pretty good, but you start stuttering. This is gonna be a tough way to make a living. So, and I got into drug counseling. In 1985, he had about 100 days off of cocaine, because cocaine was crazy in '85. One night he called me up and said, "Daddy, you know what? I got 108 days clean now, and man, you know what? I think I'm gonna use it. So much cocaine down here." I said, "Well, give me the address." So I went down at 11 o'clock at night just to hang out with him, support. I walked on that movie set, and right away, "Hey, you want to be in this movie? What I got to do? You want to be extra?" I said, "Extra what?" He says, "Can you act like a convict?" Soledad, San Quentin, Folsom, Chino. I said, "I'll give it a shot." So I took off my shirt and I got that big tattoo that says prison. I mean, that's a tattoo everybody knows. I never forget, he goes like this, "Wait, leave your shirt. I'm wondering what gang sign is that?" I'm thinking he's throwing me a gang sign. This other vato comes over, older guy, says, "Hey, you're Danny Trejo." I go, "Yeah." He says, "I saw you in the lightweight and the welterweight title up in Quentin." I said, "You're Eddie Bunker." I knew this guy. This guy was captain's clerk in San Quentin, which is the most powerful job in the penitentiary. And you got to be brilliant, because you got to keep all these, but the perks are unbelievable. Because if a cop pisses you off, okay, how about night watch? And he's gone. So you got a lot of juice. Eddie says, "Hey, Danny, you know what? We need somebody to train one of the actors how to box." I said, "Well, they're going to give me $50 for acting like a convict." And we both laughed because we'd been doing that for free forever. And he said, I said, "What's it pay?" And he says, $320 a day. And I said, "How bad you want this vato beat up, Holmes?" I thought he wanted me to beat somebody up. I thought I'd do it for another $50. And he said, no, this actor's real high strung. He might sock you." I says, "Eddie, for $320, give him a stick. Are you crazy? I've been beat up for free, homie." I started training Eric Roberts how to box for a movie called Runaway Train. The director saw me. Andrei Kajulowski is a Russian aristocrat, very soft-spoken. His first American movie, and he's got to deal with Eric Roberts. And Eric was like a real movie star, and saw that I could deal with Eric. Andre said it, "Screw you! I don't care what I'm going to my trailer." And he says, "I don't understand. In Russia, we'll shoot him." But Eric was like afraid of me, so he would do whatever I told him to do. And Andre saw that. And Andre says, "You be in movie. You fight Eric in movie. And you be my friend." Now, if you come from a prison background, when somebody says, "You be my friend," it's like, well, listen, fool, we ain't gonna take a shower together, none of that. I mean, it's like, wait a minute, you don't make friends. And then he leans over and he kisses me on both cheeks and walks away. And I said, "Eddie, look, I'm gonna train the kid for $320, but if I gotta kiss that old viejito, I want more money." And he goes, No, he's European. Director would see that I was SAG, so I wouldn't have a shirt. "Danny, say something like in prison. Órale, cabrones, vamos a matar a todos." Where did you study? My God, that was great, you. And that was my career. When I found out what that old man did for me, getting me that SAG card, I'd have washed his back, you know what I mean? And my whole life changed again. I was 17 years out of the penitentiary, and my whole life changed again. I started making $320 every movie, and I was nothing but a glorified extra. I think the first 3 or 4 years of my career was like my training for acting, And the first name I had was Art Sanella in Death Wish 4, and I played an Italian. When I first got to, better movies, right? I did this movie called Guns with Eric Estrada. The producers asked us if we could ride coach because they were putting a lot of equipment, and so, but yeah, I'll ride coach. And then Eric was riding coach, him and his girlfriend. So there was 4 seats. So there was me, I had this seat, this was empty, and then Eric and his girlfriend. Before we took off, the pilot came back and said, hey, there's 2 empty seats in first class, so they moved Eric and his girlfriend up. I sat there, and by my union, I have to ride first class, right? So my mind took over, and I said, well, why does he get to? I don't give a shit about chips. Punch, I'll beat his ass. And so just as I was getting ready to tell the producer, hey, you owe me some feria, or I gotta go first class. Just before I did it, there's a viejita, I say viejita, God, she was probably only 60, but she had her arm around her I guess her husband, and you could tell this vato was construction. I mean, you could see his hands, right? And she says, Papi, when we first got married 50 years ago, you promised you were gonna take me to Hawaii. and Papi, we're going, and they were coach, and all right, I got it. I'm grateful. Anyway, I sat there and said, you know what? These seats are empty, because these seats are empty if you want to come sit back. Diosito made me watch these 2 old people make all the way to, and he was touching her, I saw, And from then on, it's like, wait, I got you, you know what I mean? I'm grateful for whatever comes, it doesn't matter. I was going to Hawaii. They were going to give me money when I got off the plane, per diem. Okay, here's $1,000, and I had the nerve to be start to get upset, And this guy worked probably 50 years, to take his wife to Hawaii. Diosito sends me all kinds of messages. In Blood In, Blood Out, we said La Onda. We called it La Onda. And sometimes I'll walk into a club in East LA and there'll be 4 or 5 mafiosos there. I mean, they'll be there and I'll walk in and go, Trucha! And they stand up, La Onda! And then, here! They're giving me the respect of, we know you did that movie. You were good, thank you, But we didn't, in a sense, we didn't disrespect people. I would rather have a mangy dog for a friend than an enemy. It's funny because the first time I was interviewed from some little lady's girl that was fresh out of interview school, she says, Danny, don't you think you're being stereotyped? I said, what do you mean? She says, well, typecast. I said, as what? She says, well, you're always playing like the mean Chicano dude with tattoos. I am the mean Chicano dude with that. They're not using Ricky Schroeder. So. Heat. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, John Voight, Tom Sizemore. I mean, the whole list just went on and on. And I remember Robert De Niro in an interview, they were saying, well, Dad, this was Danny Trejo's first movie. And him saying, yeah, and he held his own, and so, wow, what a compliment. Machete. And it was the first Latino superhero there was. I didn't have to wear tights or a cape or nothing. I mean, just a guy that was righting wrong. Spy Kids, the whole trilogy, because I mean, I've heard so many unbelievable comments from kids, and they're still watching that. We did that 10 years ago, and kids 5 and 6 and 7 are still watching it. Love you, Uncle Machete. I did a movie called SpongeBob SquarePants. Weirdest thing that happened to me was I was in the airport, and there was this family, I think Guadalajara, from Salvador, Guatemala, somewhere, right? And this little boy, about 8 or 9 years old, man. And there's a family of about 5 kids, and parents and some older. And all of a sudden, these kids start screaming, Diablo, el Diablo, and pointing at me, right? And I remember, Mom, no, mijo, no, el Diablo. And it's, mijo, and they're all like panicked because he's yelling el Diablo. And I'm looking at him and I said, no, señora, jugué el Diablo in SpongeBob SquarePants. I was el Diablo. And then she goes, sí, pero no habla. And the kid hadn't talked. And then they walked away, and I thought, damn, what do you mean? They were like all like making the side of the crowd. I mean, wow. That's the power of cinema. You know, that's the power of cinema. I couldn't believe it, man. I went in the bathroom and I prayed. I just said, Diosito, you know what? Just let me keep doing that, please. Thank you. I don't even know what I did. I was just standing there trying to be inconspicuous. I mean, I had a mask on because in the airport. But life is really good, and that just keeps happening. Well, I just work. You know, that's it. I work. I don't matter what. I work. A lot of the movies I've done were first-time directors that needed a name. A lot of them were student films that paid me a sandwich. You know what I mean? And you know, I just like to keep working. IMDb, I think, has me at 400 and some appearances or something. I don't know. I didn't stop. People ask me, hey, weren't you in that? I don't know. I've been in countries, and hey, look, I'm in this. What is the name of this movie? And now I do any part I want. I just finished playing Magellan in, what was it? 1521, when they tried to take over the Philippines. And I'm Magellan, so I'm Spaniard. It was very, very kind of, they said, no, Danny, Spaniard didn't use words like, órale.
Con más de 400 películas, Danny se convirtió en el malo favorito de Hollywood.
When my agent, Gloria Hinojosa, had this movie for me that she wanted me to do, very little money, but she's always got an eye for stuff. And I was gonna wait a month because I had a chance to do this other movie for some good money. And I kept telling her, and she said, yeah, but this might be a little, and I said, yeah, but over here es mucho más. And then you know how women do when you're doing something stupid, but they don't want to call you stupid. Okay, está bien. No, está bien. It's okay, do whatever the hell you want, don't matter. We did this movie called Badass, turned into a trilogy, and made 4 times the money I was gonna make on that other movie. The thing was that on the first film, Badass, I met a producer named Ash Shaw, who saw I like good food. I won't eat processed food. I'll eat good tacos, whatever. And he said, Danny, why don't you open a restaurant? And so just joking, I said, Trejo's Tacos. We did Badass 2, and then we did Badass on the Bayou in New Orleans, and he brought me a business plan. And I opened the business plan. There was no killing in the first pay area. I gave it to Gloria. And she kind of says, it's a no-brainer. This is the first time somebody wants to go into business with you and they're not asking you for $100,000 up front. So let's do it then. So we opened up Trejo's Tacos. A year later, we opened up Trejo's Cantina. We've got 4 restaurants and a donut shop. Everybody keeps asking me, what is your secret? How did you stay? I said, there's no secret, it's good food. I've never heard anybody say, hey, babe, you wanna go on a date? I know where there's a place really bad food. You know, it's like, so people come and come back. I love to go to Maine and see my t-shirt, you know, Trejo's Tacos, Trejo's Cantina, Trejo's Donuts, you know. For a long time, people were trying to get me to write a book. And these writers would come and like all the time we've been talking, I don't use words like prolific. You know, what the hell is prolific, you know? Donald Logue, who I met in 1991, who was probably one of the angriest gabachos I've ever met in my life. Irish redhead kid, and I met him at the Drug and Alcohol Center in Hollywood at 1 o'clock in the morning. I walked in for an NA meeting that was there, and I walked in and I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, what do you mean, how am I doing? Just crazy mad. And I thought, wow, he's not worth killing, but he sure is angry. You know, I just thought it was funny, man, because he's about 112 pounds. I said, no, it's okay, let it go. 8 years later, on a movie called Reindeer Games with Ben Affleck. And we're there, and I'm listening to this guy at this meeting talking. I go, I know that guy. And I say, hey, I met you at the Drug and Alcohol Center. Oh, yeah, I remember. Man, I said, you know, my wife, my kids. I said, well, let's hang. We started talking, and I helped him. We became just really good friends. And when I finally started writing, so he helped me write my book completely. And still friends. He might drop in, I don't know. You know, and that's the kind of friend that can drop in anytime. It doesn't matter, you know. Good friend of mine. That's how I wrote that book. And it's like, it was like the biggest cleansing I've ever had. And it was so funny, I've had people stop and say, man, you know what? My mom had an affair, and I thought, wow, it'd kill me. And people like, yeah, you know, so I'm really glad I did it.
Además de las películas de acción, ayudar a los jóvenes y un buen taco, Danny tiene otra pasión que ha cultivado por años.
I love vintage cars. I love them, man, and I hate new cars. We've like grown into a society that we can no longer fix anything ourselves. Any one of these cars, I can change whatever. It doesn't matter. I've got a 1936 Dodge Touring sedan, very, very rare. There's only 5 of them registered in the United States. And I can fix that with a bobby pin. You know, if something goes wrong, don't worry, you know what I mean? And yet, I can take that from here all the way to San Jose, as long as I don't go over 50, you know, I stay at 50 miles an hour to all the way. My 65 Buick Riviera, I love that car, but there's a story with it because in 1965, when I got arrested by the feds, they busted me in a 1965 Buick Riviera, and they beat me all the way from North Hollywood to the Federal Building in Los Angeles. So every time I'm driving, I kind of laugh, ha ha! And that was gorgeous, boom, boom.
Danny tuvo 4 matrimonios y 2 uniones de las cuales nacieron sus 3 hijos, Danny Boy, Gilbert y Daniel. Se divorció en el 2009 de su última esposa, Debbie Sheriff.
I got 3 of the greatest kids in the world. Danielle, who's just my angel. I mean, she's taught me so much. My son Gilbert, who right now is directing film and music videos, and just like, I call him he's my retirement plan. And and then my son Danny Boy is my other retirement plan, you know. They're both just, all 3 of them are just great kids. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so happy right now. Maeve was my kid's mom. And at the time, me and Maeve were like fighting and outdoing each other. And she kind of said, well, I'm going to get married. And I said, well, I beat her to it. I think I went like with my dad, same thing my dad did, married somebody to take care of my kids. I think the only problem was I did the same mistake my dad did. Debbie didn't like get along with kids. You know, my kids didn't bond. I remember the straw that broke the camel's back. I said, have you talked to the kids? She goes, no, I called them and they didn't answer me. I said, did you call them again? No, it's their responsibility. I said, I got to call them 5 or 6 times before they answer me, you know. And it was just like that kind of stuff, you know. It's like, yeah, we all want our kids to be responsible, but they're not. You know what I mean? And sometimes we have got to remember that. I remembered that. And like I said, it's like I didn't, nothing. It's like you either love my kids or just get away from me, you know? And that's kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back. Debbie was a businesswoman, and it's not good to just be a businesswoman in a marriage. So I just bailed out. I did a movie called Sangre por Sangre. Let me tell you how Diosito works. Sangre por Sangre, we did it in San Quentin State Prison. San Quentin was the northern reception center because the Chicanos got California divided between the north and the south. The sureños and norteños. We're in San Quentin, and I met up with camarada Mario Castillo. And we started talking, early morning, blah, blah. He said, aren't you going to get these? No, we got word from Big Joe, all the mafia, we can't get in, you know. Sureños can't do any of them because of a problem that they had with Edward James, right? He was doing a movie called American Me that really disrespected the mafia and got a whole bunch of people killed. I think the biggest problem with that was Edward made a lot of enemies. You know, that's why after that movie came out, you didn't see him. He didn't do anything. Scared to death. I told him about staying clean. I told him about the benefits of cutting drugs loose. And then we finished that movie. And 8 years later, I'm at a convention, a Narcotics Anonymous. And I said, what's up? We started talking. And he was started to work in drug abuse like me. And he needed a liver transplant. He got sick. He lost everything. And I just thought, move in with me. Oh, shit. You take care of all my stuff, you know. 9 years ago, he saved my son's life. And that's how Diosito works. 9 years ago, he kicked in the door to a crack house, and my son was almost dead. Drug him out. The bodyguard that he was with, that Marty wanted to wait for backup. Oh, wait, let's call backup. Marty says, tu madre, back up, boom, and just kicked in the door and he brought him out. I was in Germany. Then when I came home, whoa, we took him to rehab. And a little girl named Renee that I knew from the program ran a recovery house up in Lake Arrowhead they call Rim of the World. And I called her, I said, I got Gilbert, bring him. And she said, oh, do you have room? Don't worry, we'll put him on the floor, bring him. And so I brought him. I remember when we were going up through the clouds, because it's way up. And my son, Gilbert, he was like a rock star. Everybody knew him, you know, and so he couldn't get clean because people would go into the recovery, people like it. So we took him to Rim of the World. I remember when we were going through the clouds, he's going, wow, I guess all ideas of escape are out. You know, we went up through the clouds and took him there, and he's got almost 9 years clean now. That's the way Diosito works. I think I'm really happy with the relationships I have now. I got a relationship with May, my kid's mom, and I got the biggest relationship in the world with my kids. And they're first in my life, no matter what. My kids are strong enough to know, no, Dad, I got to get a job. You know, I can't just keep taking money, you know, and because I don't care. They could just live with me their whole life if they wanted to, you know, but they all went and got jobs and they're all doing well. And that's, you know, I guess, you know, because they taught themselves that, you know, because if I got money, they got money, you know, so. And they're all making their own money and buying their own cars and doing all their own stuff. So I'm pretty proud of them.
Gracias al amor de sus hijos, Danny logró acercarse a su familia de origen y reconectar con su madre.
I remember talking to my sponsor, Johnny Harris, and I kind of like started sniveling. I said, you know, my mom, man, I haven't talked to my mom in almost 2 years. I haven't talked to her in almost 2 years. She hasn't called me. He said, have you called her? No. Well, then shut up about it. Don't snivel about it unless you call her. If she hangs up on you, then you got to... I called her, hey, Mom, what's up? She acted like nothing ever happened. Hi, mijo, ¿cómo estás? Yeah, the hell? My son picked her up on his birthday and brought her to lunch. And then he called me. What are you doing? He said, having lunch with Grandma. But, oh, here, oh. I talked to her about 20 minutes. Hi, Mom, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. We're having lunch here. I said, okay, Mom, I'll see you later. Goodbye. She said, okay, I love you, mijo. And I hung up with her. Wow. 2 weeks later, she passed away. I think it was one of the first times I ever heard my mom say, I love you, mijo. Because we weren't like a cariñoso family, you know what I mean? We weren't. My dad was too chingon to... I remember the first time I hugged him, he got like nervous. I probably hope he's like gay, you know, but he hugged me. If it wasn't for my son, again, I wouldn't have talked to him. So, he works in weird ways.
Danny Trejo ha logrado convertirse en un ejemplo para la comunidad de Los Ángeles, ciudad que lo ha visto caer y levantarse con orgullo.
I wish I could make amends to some of the people that I hurt, but a lot of them are gone. I wasn't a nice person all the way up to 1968. I mean, I was not, if you were on fire, I wouldn't piss on you. I just had a real attitude. And I think Gilbert, my uncle, helped me to like really know that I'm not moving back for anybody. I'll beat you, whether it's with weapons or whatever, but I'm gonna beat you, you know? I think I would have changed that part of my life. But everything I did got me to where I am. So it's hard to say I would change this, I would change that, because I honestly believe Diosito let me go through all that. I could be a better person. And when I tell somebody, I know how you feel, it's not like a therapist telling them. It's like somebody that went through it. Now, I think my kids can make me cry. You know, mostly, not when they do something bad, but like when my son was using drugs, my daughters, it was like at night, I would like, dear Heavenly Father, I just, you know, I could remember what my dad went through, and I always thought my dad was mean, but he was just so angry at me. My dad got in trouble one time, and he told his mom, Mom, if you help me with an attorney, I will never get in trouble again. And he was a man of his word. He never did. So he always thought like I was a fat promised every time I got in trouble. The difference, I think, was that I was using drugs, and drugs got no honor. Drugs got no faith. Drugs got no, I promise. You know what I mean? Drugs, I promise to keep using them. That's what they promise. I'm 78 now. I don't know, I work out every day, I walk, and I just had like a 54-year anniversary for being clean and sober, and I feel 54 years old. However a 54-year-old feels, I don't know. I can reach anybody. I can reach kids. I can reach kids that don't like people. I can reach kids that hate authority. I can reach kids that are locked up because they're violent or whatever. It doesn't matter. I can reach anybody. I work with autistic kids, and a lot of them just stop when they see me, because they know, not Danny Trejo, but all the kids, the guys they've seen on TV, and that's the blessing that Diosito's given Danny Trejo. For the first time in my life, I think I achieved what my dad was trying to achieve that has nothing to do with a Cadillac and a camper and a house, nothing. It has to do with being able to lay down and go to sleep and feel good, wake up, feel good. Whether I got to go to work or not doesn't matter. I love my surroundings. I think I would almost have to work at trying to feel bad about something. I've lost a lot of good friends. I think that's the one thing you get. Usually, the older you get, the more friends you lose. I'm 78. And most of my friends, are now a lot younger than me because all my old friends are gone. I have a really happy life, really great life. I think it's funny because when I was young, everybody used to get mad at me and Gilbert, my uncle, because we'd laugh at everything. Everything was funny. Didn't matter what we was funny, we'd laugh. And that's the way it is now. We laugh, just like if you have a flat tire, you got to go say, I'm grateful for the other. I'm grateful for that tire because it's not flat. I'm grateful for that tire. I'm grateful for that tire. And now I'll call AAA, you know what I mean? Because we got AAA now, yeah. When I look in the mirror, I see Antonio Banderas. No. I see a person that is so blessed and blessed every day. And it's really funny. It's like, I think Michael Jackson or somebody wrote a song that you got to be friends with the guy in the mirror. And it's like, and I'm really good friends with him now. In prison, it's like you like, in the look at them, orale, I'll have that guy all day long. It's like, that's the one I'm going to keep people away from. And now it's not. Now, I think I'm very proud of who I am. I'm proud of the fact that people know me as a giver. And I remember a camarada of mine, Eddie Bunker, who we were in prison with, said, the secret to Danny's success is people that have worked with him want to work with him again. Because I know movie stars. I know people that hate movie stars and can't stand them. I want people to think good of me when I'm gone, and they don't. Movie stars, they hate movie stars. I won't let people say, oh, you're a movie star. No, I'm an actor that works, and that's it. So I don't consider myself a movie star.